Georgia, your first season back in Division 1 of the Championship and a third place finish. You must be really pleased with that.
Yeah, really pleased. I think obviously there's still a little bit of potential disappointment that we didn't come up at the top, but I think we've played some brilliant cricket, and arguably we've won games when we possibly shouldn't have, and we've really got stuck into the battle, and then we potentially lost a couple of games that we should have gone on to win, which held us back in the end. However, obviously finishing the season with a 160 run win over Kent was the highlight.
Like you say, Kent obviously had been crowned the champions the week before, so to go out and thump them basically, that shows how much potential there is in this team.
Yeah, and I think what we've done really well is we've shown the depth that we have, because actually we've struggled with injury. We lost two of our main England players and Danny Wyatt to the IPL, which is a massive blow to our batting lineup. But actually, the youngsters have stepped in, and we went into the last game on Sunday against Kent, knowing that we were 4 England players down and Kent were 4 England players down, and it was a battle of who's got the most depth, and we completely outplayed them, which is really pleasing as a captain and as a coach to see players like Cassidy McCarthy take the new ball on and bowl really well.
And I guess that bodes very well for the seasons to come in the format.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we have done really well is show that, one, how hard we work, and also the depth that we do have, and a bit of bravery, I think, from the younger players coming in and sort of taking on their role and actually performing. Most games this season, the younger players have had a massive part in some of our games and in our wins.
And so people like Ella McCacken, Cassidy, you've mentioned, Ella Wadey plays some crucial innings in those tight games. I guess responsibility at a young age is great for development and for bringing players on as they get older.
Yeah, massive credit to. Ella Wadey put in a huge match-winning performance first game of the season, and it's moments like that where you think it's brilliant to see, because she went out there and she played with freedom. Didn't look like she was nervous, and as a younger player coming in, and I know I certainly used to be very nervous going in, but actually to go in and play a game the way she did was brilliant. And Ella Mack is a huge talent, and what she's done really well, I know she's a bit hard on herself, but actually what she's done really well is she's set the game up nearly every game for us to go on and those other players step up and put in match-winning performances. So I think it's so pleasing to see all 3 of those youngsters actually deliver their skill and do what they do well, and actually have a huge impact on the game.
And looking ahead, so the T20 season starts this weekend. I guess after the successful 50-over campaign, hopes must be high for that tournament.
Yeah, it's a bit harder these days in 2020, because it's a little bit like the standards got so much better, and you never know what to expect. And however, I'm hugely optimistic with our talent that we've got in the side. It'll be great to actually go into a sort of T20 campaign with 3 England players. Normally we don't have any, so we have got a little bit of experience in and around the youngsters to go out and play with a bit of freedom, but we can't complain. I've got no more 50 over cricket, so it's the summer of 2020 now.
And so obviously with Danny and Sarah in the England setup, they're missing, but like you say, we've still got George Elwes, Freya Davies and Lindsay Smith, who are all current internationals. How does that dynamic work between having England internationals and then schoolgirls in the team, and how does that balance work?
It's great, and I think with our England players we've got quite a diverse range of personalities, and you've got Lindsay, who is still almost the child of the squad but she's great, because she comes in and she's always bubbly, and she's having a joke and a laugh, but actually when you're giving her the ball, she's 100% all in. She's gonna battle for you, and she's gonna put in a brilliant performance, which she does day in day out. And then you get players like Georgia, who she's so valuable to have in and around the side, I think, because just how she holds herself, how she goes about her prep, how she goes about her game, she talks to the youngsters, she's such a role model. And I think it's really pleasing for us to actually have someone like that for the first time possibly coming back into the 2020. just to talk to the younger players, and but also, it gives you a little bit of stability as a side, and I'm really optimistic that we're going to have a really good 2020 campaign, because on paper we've got a really, really strong, arguably the strongest side.
Your first season working with Alexia as head coach, what's she brought to the role?
Oh, well, I always say with Alexia, she brings passion, 100%. She brings passion. I mean, she loves Sussex cricket, and she completely lives, breathes Sussex cricket. So it's been great having her around. She's been really good. She's relatively quiet, but what she's done really well is she goes and she talks to all the players. She always seems like she's kind of in control, which is quite, as a captain, you're happy with that. And I think as well, like the dynamic with herself and Ian Cox coming in, like they work really well together, and they've got a really strong coaching relationship and almost bounce off each other, because they're both quite different. But as players, you know that you've got everything that you need in the management group. So it's been really good, and I think just generally the team dynamic and the atmosphere has been brilliant this season.
Second place, runners-up in the T20 last year. I guess the goal this year is to go one better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm hoping that we go one better, and definitely think we've got it in us to, put in some brilliant performances and hopefully come out top.
And finally, how good has it been having one home ground this year? All your games at the Sir Rod Aldridge Cricket Centre at Backer. Does that make a difference in terms of knowing conditions and things like that?
Yeah, I think it's nice for us to have it. It's been our first season where we've had a consistent home ground, and I think with the way the game's going and looking at other counties who've all they've started to do it as well, I think it's been a huge step for us, knowing that we can actually prepare properly. And we're, as a management group, having conversations going, right, we know that the wicket's going to do this, what team do we need? And it's team selection has been the biggest challenge this year. It's been really tough because everyone's knocking on the door, but it's amazing over at the Sir Rod Aldridge Cricket Centre. The facilities there are brilliant. Hopefully, if I'm being slightly critical, I quite like a bit more of a batting track, but I think with our side being such a bowling dominant side, I know Tara Norris has had a great time of it on our home wicket, so it's been brilliant.
Well, it's great to talk to you, and wish you very best of luck for the second half of the season.